Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life.
Okay, let's unpack this. For the last couple of years, the battleground for, geopolitical advantage hasn't really been about borders or naval deployments. It's been about physics.
Yeah.
Specifically about how many advanced microchips a country can get its hands on. Today, the weapon isn't gunpowder, it's silicon. And we are diving into the absolute core of this struggle by looking at a really explosive Department of Justice action.
Exactly. This is ripped straight from the headlines.
Yeah.
We're looking at a very recent, very significant DOJ press release. This is from November 2025.
Okay.
And it details arrests linked to this alleged, massive conspiracy. And this wasn't minor contraband we're talking about.
No.
This involved U.S. citizens and People's Republic of China nationals who were, allegedly, working together to illegally export some of the most highly controlled, cutting-edge AI technology out there.
Specifically, NVIDIA graphics processing units.
The very same, directly to the PRC.
So our mission today is really a shortcut to getting you up to speed on this critical case. We want to synthesize three things. First, the deep national security reason behind these aggressive U.S. export controls. Second, the almost comical yet effective deceptive methods these guys used. And third, the severe legal stakes. Which really show how seriously this is being taken.
And you're absolutely right to frame it around national security. The indictment is incredibly clear about what's at stake here.
It's not just about business.
Not at all. These controls are not about commercial competition. The DOJ alleges these illegal exports were meant to directly fuel the PRC's explicit strategic goal.
Which is to be the world leader in AI by 2030.
Precisely.
Right.
And not just for, chatbots. The indictment specifically alleges this AI capability is sought for military modernization. Things like advanced drone swarm control, accelerated design and testing of weapons of mass destruction, and deploying these huge, sophisticated AI surveillance tools. The U.S. put those controls in place back in October 2022 to create a choke point.
To stop exactly this.
To stop exactly this kind of strategic jump forward.
Okay, so let's get into the conspiracy itself. This sounds like something out of a spy novel, not a standard trade violation. It seems highly organized.
It had to be. Moving these items is logistically complicated and legally very, very risky. The 4 people arrested really highlight the different roles you need.
Right.
You need a supplier, you need a financial front, and you need the people who handle the logistics.
So let's introduce the cast of characters.
Yeah.
We've got 2 U.S. citizens. First, Han Ning Ho, who also went by Matthew Ho. He's 34, from Tampa, Florida.
He seems to be one of the ringleaders.
And then there's Brian Curtis Raymond, 46, from Huntsville, Alabama. He ran an electronics company. He's the alleged supplier. And then you have the crucial link to the PRC. That's Cham Lee, or Tony Lai, 38, a PRC national from California. And then Jing Chen, also known as Harry Chen, who's 45, another PRC national also in Tampa.
And he was on a student visa, an F1 visa.
That's right, a non-immigrant student visa. And this whole thing allegedly ran for 2 years, from September 2023 right up until they were arrested in November 2025. What's truly wild to me is the vehicle they used. They needed this perfect camouflage company to handle millions in wire transfers and purchases.
And they settled on a company called Janford Realtor, LLC.
Janford Realtor, based in Tampa, controlled by Ho and Lai.
And here's where the absurdity, meets the high-tech threat. The indictment points out this delicious irony.
Which is?
Despite being called Janford Realtor, the company was never, ever involved in a single real estate transaction. Not one.
It was purely a shell company. I mean, if you're trying to hide that you're buying supercomputers for military AI in China, what better front than a boring local real estate brokerage?
It's perfect. It's designed to sound as dull and legitimate as possible.
And it gives them a paper trail that looks completely innocuous to anyone who isn't digging really, really deep into their invoices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this front company was allegedly used just for this, to buy these controlled GPUs from Raymond's company in Alabama, and then to manage the whole illicit export scheme.
So Raymond sells the product to Janford Realtor, which then immediately tries to export it illegally. What was the central trick they used? Just faking the paperwork.
It was a classic evasion tactic, really. A multi-layered lie. They never sought or obtained the legally required export licenses from the Commerce Department.
That's the core violation.
That's the core violation of the Export Control Reform Act, or ECRA. But to get the physical goods to the PRC, they also used trans-shipment.
So for anyone listening, what is trans-shipment in this context? Why is it so effective?
Transshipment just means you intentionally route the controlled goods through an intermediary country, one that doesn't have the same strict controls.
Wow, good.
In this case, they were allegedly faking contracts, creating dummy paperwork, and routing the goods through Malaysia and Thailand.
So on paper, the GPU shipment is going from the U.S. to, say, a facility in Thailand.
Right.
Once it gets there, the real final destination label gets swapped on, and the chips are rerouted to China. It breaks the chain of custody.
It breaks the chain, and it makes it incredibly difficult for U.S. regulators to track the final end user. It gives them cover.
And that kind of effort, that costs money.
A lot of money. To fund this whole scheme, the indictment alleges the conspirators got over $3.89 million in wire transfers that came directly from the PRC.
So this was a sophisticated, high-value enterprise.
Absolutely.
This is where it gets really interesting for me, connecting the conspiracy to the actual tech. Let's talk about the specific GPUs involved, because we need to understand the strategic value of what they were moving.
We absolutely have to contextualize the technology. Otherwise, A100, H100, H200, they're just letters and numbers.
Right, these are not the graphics cards you use for gaming.
Not at all. These are AI accelerators. They are built for parallel processing, which is essential for training these massive neural networks.
I think of it like this. If a standard high-end corporate server chip is a bicycle, the NVIDIA A100 is like a Formula One race car.
Good analogy.
And the H-series chips, they're basically hypersonic jets.
That's a perfect analogy, and the conspiracy was already successful in their first two runs. Between late 2024 and early 2025, they actually managed to send 400 NVIDIA A100 GPUs to the PRC.
400?
400 of those Formula One race cars. That represents a substantial increase in computing power for any national lab.
That's a huge haul already, enough to seriously speed up several major AI projects.
Yeah.
But law enforcement's disruption, it targeted even higher value tech.
Yes. This is where the stakes get raised, dramatically. The tech they seized in the third and fourth attempts, it shows the progression, the real hunger for the latest power.
They were moving on to the H-series.
Exactly.
So what was seized?
First, they seized 50 separate NVIDIA H200 GPUs.
The H200s.
Yeah, these are the most modern, highest memory chips available at the time. They're specifically designed to handle the enormous memory needs of these gigantic language models. It's the absolute pinnacle of AI training tech.
But the second part of the seizure, that's what really stopped me cold when I was reading through this.
Absolutely, because it wasn't just 50 individual chips. No. They seized 10 Hewlett-Packard Enterprises supercomputers.
Oh, wow.
Fully integrated, loaded with NVIDIA H100 GPUs.
10 entire pre-packaged, ready-to-deploy supercomputers. So this tells you that the conspirators weren't just acquiring components to assemble later in China.
No.
They were trying to ship turnkey operational AI infrastructure, the kind you can just plug in and immediately start training models or running complex military simulations.
It defines the urgency, right?
Yeah.
The PRC's 2030 goal is coming up fast, and the U.S. export controls are creating a real scarcity. So when you have that kind of strategic pressure and low domestic supply, people take extreme risks to smuggle fully integrated high-value systems.
Rather than deal with the delay of assembling them piece by piece.
Exactly.
And that $3.89 million in wire transfers suddenly makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You need that kind of cash to buy 10 H100 supercomputers and 400 A100s, especially with the black market markup and the logistics costs.
It's the cost of doing business when you're bypassing the system. That financial outlay really underscores how central this technology is to achieving national goals abroad.
So given the scale of the money and the tech involved, it's pretty clear the DOJ wouldn't just be looking at simple export violations. Let's pivot and talk about the legal consequences.
This is where you see the full weight of the National Security Division come down. Assistant Attorney General John A. Eisenberg, he explicitly said they are committed to disrupting these black markets of sensitive U.S. technologies.
They're using every tool in the arsenal.
Every single one.
We mentioned the core offense is violating ECRA, the Export Control Reform Act. But the list of charges for these four is extensive. It looks like it's structured to maximize the punishment.
It is. It's designed to prosecute the entire criminal activity, not just the illegal shipment itself. So the core offenses are conspiracy to violate ECRA and then multiple counts of ECRA violations.
But the supporting offenses are key.
They're crucial because they prosecute the method of evasion.
Which means we're looking at smuggling counts.
Right.
And conspiracy to commit money laundering plus individual money laundering counts.
Exactly. The money laundering counts, they go after that $3.89 million in illicit transfers. The smuggling counts go after the physical deceit, the fake shipping documents, the trans-shipment.
And the potential sentences are just brutal because these charges get stacked, right? It's not one sentence for the whole scheme.
That's the critical factor. A single ECRA violation can carry a sentence of 20 years. A single money laundering count also carries 20 years.
And smuggling.
10 years. So when you look at the indictment, someone like Han Ning Ho, he faces 4 counts of ECRA violations, 9 counts of money laundering, plus the conspiracy and smuggling.
You're talking about potential centuries in prison when it's all added up.
The potential exposure is designed to be incredibly high. It sends a clear message that this behavior is treated as an existential threat to national security, not just some white-collar crime.
Even the U.S. citizen supplier, Brian Curtis Raymond, he's facing multiple counts across all 3 categories.
It drives home the point that the U.S. government views any participant who helps this tech flow illegally, regardless of their nationality, as aiding a hostile effort. And on top of that, the U.S. is seeking forfeiture of the goods.
Oh, they get to keep the hardware.
They will seek forfeiture of those 50 NVIDIA A100s GPUs, citing they were property intended to be exported unlawfully.
So the government not only stops the tech from getting out, but it also retains the asset. It's also worth pointing out the complexity of the investigation here. This wasn't just Customs catching a dodgy label.
Oh, no. This involved Homeland Security investigations, the Defense Criminal Investigative Service, and the Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security, all working together.
This kind of disruption requires long-term intelligence, tracking sophisticated financial movements. It's a huge coordinated effort.
It's a sign of a very focused governmental effort on these technological choke points.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
I think our core takeaway from this deep dive is that these arrests are a powerful, tangible example of the U.S. government's aggressive enforcement posture. They are actively closing off these technological backdoors. They're prosecuting people who deliberately lie about a destination to get around national security safeguards.
And this raises a really interesting strategic question that we should all be thinking about. We know they disrupted the export of not just chips, but 10 fully integrated Hewlett-Packard supercomputers.
The ones with the H100 GPUs.
Right.
So given the high stakes, this race for AI supremacy and China's 2030 goal, what does the necessity of moving entire multi-million-dollar supercomputers suggest about the pressure and the scarcity that are driving this illegal black market right now?
It suggests the window for getting this kind of integrated capability is closing, and it's closing fast. And for anyone trying to win the AI arms race, buying a ready-to-use supercomputer on the black market is a necessary, but incredibly risky, desperate measure to stay in the game. A truly fascinating and sobering look at how the battle for the future is being fought. Through shell companies, hidden ports, and the power of silicon. We really encourage you to explore the connection between AI development and geopolitics further, especially as these export controls continue to tighten.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.